Hello and welcome to episode number 125 of Week in Review. My name is Sean, and on this week's show, we're going to become the ultimate gamer with a very special limited edition item. We're continuing our Quantic Dream retrospective by talking about Heavy Rain. We'll look forward to this week's new releases and the streams happening over on twitch.tv/ShaunosaurusRex. But before we jump into Heavy Rain, we actually have a limited edition item that is going to help us become the ultimate gamer. I'm not 100% sure exactly where this happened. For me, I trace it back to 2007 and Halo 3. But Mountain Dew and Doritos have been the quote-unquote like gamer fuel, which Mountain Dew doesn't really help themselves when they have a drink that's literally called Game Fuel that is designed and advertised specifically to gamers, which I've reviewed on this show and drink a can of every single day. But my poor health decisions aside, Mountain Dew originally in 2007 released a drink called Game Fuel specifically to tie in with Halo 3. It's not a very good drink. It's like cherry or something. It's not good. Thankfully I remember that I don't like it, unlike Mountain Dew Livewire, where I'm like, oh, I'll buy this every 6 months and go, you know what, that's right, I don't like this. And then I tell that story every 6 months in between the 6 months. So every 3 months I tell that story, then I buy one, then I tell the story, then I buy one. And it's a never-ending cycle of me losing $2.18 to a bad drink. Anyway, after 2007, we saw a lot more tie-ins with Mountain Dew and like Call of Duty. Halo 4 had some stuff, but Doritos got in on the action as well, and they became kind of like the ultimate gamer fuel. Like there were a lot of Diva cosplays that I saw where it was like they're eating Doritos and they're drinking Mountain Dew, which I thought was really funny. But today we finally get to see what those two flavors taste like together, as I have in this box, which I will make sure I don't show you my address. This box contains the magical ingredients of Mountain Dew and Doritos brought together in one chip from Australia. And this is what it is. It is Mountain Dew infused, what are they? Energized. Mountain Dew energized Dorito chips. Now these are from Australia, so we're not going to judge them based on looks because these are probably pretty crunched. It sounds like they're very crunched up. They had to get shipped from Australia to Arizona, and then I bought them from Arizona, and then they got shipped to Washington. So they're pretty mangled and beat up. But for $10, I couldn't possibly pass this up. We have limited edition here on the top. It says that it's a 3-star health system. I guess they have a rating system in Australia or wherever this is from, which I think is Australia. For made in Australia. It says right on the box. So they have a rating system for how healthy it is. Good for them. Let's see. The description says, after a refreshing zesty zing, we've combined the lemon citrus flavor of Mountain Dew with the signature Dorito full-on crunch. And then you can follow them on social media, should you so choose. There's that quality audio that you tune in to tune into this show for. God. Oh my God. My nose itches just thinking about it. All right. Oh. Those don't smell good at all. The thing is, Doritos smell good by themselves. Mountain Dew smells good by itself. Together. Okay, on second smell, it's better. You can really taste. You can really smell the lemon. Don't take too much of it though. Oh my goodness. Okay. And then I'll dig in. Here's what we're working with. It's green. I don't know how well that shows up on camera, but it's green, and it is kind of what I thought it would be. The chips are pretty crunched, but again, we're not docking any points from that. So, oh God, it smells like Mountain Dew, but something about it being in chip form is making me very like, ugh. Oh. Oh my God. Okay. This is the best limited edition item I have ever reviewed. It's terrible. But, and there's a big but in there, They are accurate to the flavor of Mountain Dew. They actually genuinely taste like soda was a chip. This is so ridiculous. God, I love doing this stuff. It's nice that I finally found a place or created something where I can make my poor purchasing decisions actually useful instead of just my own amusement. I get to put them on the internet if people care, or want to watch. God, they're so bad. They're so bad. But I'm so glad I bought them. I'm so happy that I bought these. Oh my goodness. So I guess the easy way to break these down, they're accurate to the flavor of Mountain Dew, but that does not make them a good chip. But I am so happy that I bought them. So there you go. Mountain Dew, Doritos. I had to go through a specific store that thankfully does online stuff. It's based in Arizona. And I was linked to the website by the Beebs. So she let me know about this and I was able to grab a bag. It is very expensive for this size of bag. This was $10 and this is like a normal like $1.89. I don't know what they go for, but they're like the normal size of bags that I take into movie theaters allegedly. So I don't have to pay $47 for popcorn, but it's expensive, but I thought it was worth it because I thought it was funny, but B, I was also just so curious because you can really just slap limited edition on anything and I will buy it. As I'm sure you're well aware if you've watched 100 and whatever number of episodes of this show, the budget for the show is outrageous. And a lot of times I kind of convince myself, I'm like, oh, I could put it on the show. I could put it on Week in Review and be like, here's this thing. So, here's this thing. Oh boy. Now that we are the Ultimate Gamer, we can talk about this week's game, which is Heavy Rain, part 2 of 4 in our Quantic Dream retrospective series. Last week I talked about Indica Prophecy, and I really didn't like that game. This is where we start to get into the interesting stuff with Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls, the two PlayStation 3 games that Quantic Dream released. And what makes them so interesting is I've had varying degrees of time with them. So Heavy Rain I completed, Beyond Two Souls I quit out on because I didn't really like it. And Heavy Rain, being the one that I completed and really liked, really intrigued me as far as replaying them, and it was kind of what kicked off the whole idea of doing all 4 games instead of just doing Heavy Rain and then Detroit Become Human. Why not see if this game still holds up and if I like it as much, but why not also see if Beyond Two Souls is maybe better than I remember it, and then at that point it's just why not throw in the other one just to see what it was. Obviously I didn't really like the first one, but this is a vastly improved, much more engaging, interesting, and overall fun game to play, even if it doesn't necessarily deal with the happiest of subject matters. I initially bought a PlayStation 3 in October-ish of 2011, and this was one of the earliest games that I bought for the console. I bought it on a Black Friday sale for like $15 at like a Walmart that night, and it sat on my shelf for a couple of weeks, but when I finally played it, I sat through and played the whole thing in one sitting. It was such a weird experience. I'd never had that before with a video game, and keep in mind this is 2011, so a lot of digital stuff wasn't where it is today. I talk a lot about games on this show that take only a sitting. Full Depart is one that pops off the top of my head. Another one would be Untitled Goose Game. Those are games you sit and you complete within 3 or 4 hours. This is an 8 to 10 hour experience that I was so enthralled with and so engaged in that I played all of it in one sitting, minus like a food break, which is kind of ironic because I had to take a food break during the second part of the stream that I did with this game, but that's besides the point. I loved this game and I was so intrigued going back to it because I was curious at how well it would hold up. And thankfully, it actually holds up really well. I had a great time playing this game. I really like what it does. I think it sets up a much more interesting premise, and that premise is you play as 4 different characters trying to solve the mystery of the Origami Killer. You play as Ethan Hunt, our main character, I would say, who has had a rough couple of years. He loses his son in a mall, and then it skips ahead 2 years, and then his son gets kidnapped, and he has to figure out where his kid is. Ethan has to solve a bunch of trials. Every trial he solves gives him additional information to find the location of his son so he can rescue him before the child dies. You also play as Madison, who is a reporter. I don't think she's introduced super well, because I was trying to think about it, and I was like, I don't remember when she shows up and why she shows up, and I don't remember how long it takes for that for her to reveal that she's a reporter. Something about that was just super murky, and when she says, or a character discovers like her little notepad and it's like, you're a reporter, it's like, oh, how long have you been a reporter for? Her character's super weird. She also sometimes unfortunately plays as like a weirdly forced romantic plot with Ethan. Granted, you don't have to take that path if you don't think that that's the way it goes. Her arc with Ethan sometimes feels like it's just somebody who's like, oh, we can make a mature game that has sex and nudity in it, even if it doesn't necessarily fit the bill. It's kind of weird. You also play as a private investigator, P.I. Shelby, and they are on the hunt for the origami killer. And then you play as an FBI agent, whose name is totally blanking or escaping me right now. I don't remember. It's fine. They're also looking for the origami killer. So you have two characters specifically working on a case to find the origami killer. You have one character who's a reporter who becomes close to Ethan Mars, who is looking for his son, and you have all these things. And what I like so much about this game is the way it sets everything up and pushes it forward, and the way events kind of tangle and are entwined with each other. And I just think it's a super engaging and interesting game, and it improves on every single thing that I didn't like about Indigo Prophecy. I complained that the story was too obvious. This one's a little bit more under wraps. I'm sure people will figure it out a lot faster than I did. Even though I played this game 8.5 years ago, I still sat there like, I don't remember who the killer is. And then I took a food break, I went downstairs, and I stared longingly out of the sliding glass door windows while I waited for my Arby's order, and I was like, oh, that's right, it's this person. Which was totally fine, because it was like 5 minutes before they made that reveal anyway. I like the way it's done. I like the way the characters cross and interact. And as the story pushed forward, it just really kept me engaged. And that was kind of the cool part about playing it like 8.5 years between playthroughs, was I didn't really remember it. So I was having a lot of fun kind of rediscovering things that I was like, oh, I remember this part. I don't remember this at all. But it was really interesting. The quick time events and the action sequences are much more nuanced. They're there pretty consistently, where you have to like hit a specific button on the control pad, or you like a timing thing where you like hit circle, then hit X, then hit down, then hit up, or you have to hold it to like get a character to do something like pick a lock. This one unfortunately does, because it's an earlier PlayStation 3 game. The PlayStation had a controller that was called a 6-axis controller. And a lot of the older PlayStation 3 games really used that because they were first party, and they were like, well, we'll use this new technology that you put in here for some reason. So there's a lot of times where if you watch the stream, you'll see me like lift the controller over to the side and like herk it to the right or herk it to the left. And it looks a little odd because the game doesn't have a great sense ability for when you like move it. It feels like I should be getting the correct thing when I pull it like this, but I usually had to move it and like really jerk it a lot farther than I was anticipating. It doesn't do a super great job at registering that. There are also a couple of times where you have to take the controller and you have to tilt it, and it just doesn't read correctly, and it's really annoying because there's a part where you have to pick a lock and you have to do that, and I had to do it like 4 times, and then the character is like, wow, sure am feeling good, or I'm not as rusty as I thought, or something, like whatever the line was. And I was like, you've been here for like 45 minutes doing this lock, because I've had to do this 6 times. But the game isn't all great, aside from the kind of weirdly forced romantic aspect that, again, you don't have to pick. Some of the voice acting is really bad. It goes from like wooden to like out and out robot, where there's one part where Ethan Mars says like, I love my son, and it's just awful. It doesn't sound good at all. There's no emphasis on like or emotion in it. It's just like somebody just saying a line. It's like, we have 5 minutes to do this, please, dear God, just say I love my son twice so we can get out of here. All of the kid actors seem incredibly bored, and that is very distracting. Some of the writing's a little weird and kind of wonky and silly. And there's also a very weird sequence where you're participating in a shootout, where you like storm into someone's house because you're angry that they killed someone that you loved or whatever. And man, it is unintentionally funny in the way that you're running in with like, you have like a 6-shooter or whatever, which you don't ever reload, I don't remember. But every time you shoot one of the guards in the place, they have the most comical stuntman-y like jump and like crashes through a table and then jumps like into a window and then falls over the banister, which, to be fair, is how I would direct any sort of thing like that, because that's what I was like as a kid, where I'd be like, oh no, I fell down a hill and I roll 47 times and break through a barrier, and then I magically backflip over a grill and pick up a hot dog and I eat the hot dog before landing and going, oh god, oh it hurts, and then falling down another hill and then 46 steps or sets of stairs. It has that feel to it. It's a little out of place. It was still fine. It was unintentionally humorous, but the game seems to want to be a lot grittier than that sort of like get shot in the chest and you're jumping back into a door, and it just looked a little weird, but it all boils down to like, I had fun with it. Even the silly stuff or the stuff that didn't work or the voice acting that was wooden or robotic was still fun. It was still engaging. It was still interesting. It still pushed me forward through the story. Like I talked about in Indigo Prophecy, where I woke up the next morning and I didn't want to touch the game ever again. I just sat there and I was like, this sucks and I don't want to have anything to do with it. I woke up Sunday morning amped to like, I'm super excited to get this game done. I can't wait to play more of it. I really am enjoying my time with it. And I just can't stress enough how much I like this game and how well this game holds up. It doesn't hold up super well from like a graphical standpoint. I played on a PlayStation 4 port of it. Some of the stuff looks a little weird, particularly when the characters kiss, and some of the clothing models look oddly like stiff and weird in a way that just doesn't work. It's jarring. Like there's one point where somebody puts on a shirt and it looks like it's already like blown out, but it looks like just cardboard that he's about to put on over himself because it doesn't move in any sort of way. There's another part where someone gives him a jacket and the jacket just doesn't look good. It's very stiff and it just doesn't work, I guess. But it's not that bad. It's not terribly distracting. It's little bits here and there that are like, oh, this kind of pulls me out of the experience every once in a while. But I think that it's engaging and interesting enough to pull you through. Ethan Mars is kind of a weird character. He's really bad with kids and keeping track of them. I don't know, like Madison's fine, but I don't think she gets the greatest arc in the game. The PI is interesting and I liked his partner, Lauren. I'm sorry. And the FBI detective has the most interesting like gameplay elements because he has these like glasses and this glove that can allow him to work through like crime scenes. Like you get to do crime scene investigations, and that's really cool and interesting, and I like the way that worked. The story does sometimes stumble over itself, where you as a player know a little bit more than the character does, like in this particular case the FBI agent, where you're like, I know who the killer is, but you can't figure it out because you don't quite have enough clues to figure that out, and I wish I could just tell you and put these together for you. Like if you miss something, you probably won't be able to figure it out with that specific character. But I don't know, it doesn't stumble over itself nearly as much as the previous game in this retrospective does. It kept me engaged and interested throughout the whole runtime. It took me about 8 hours to complete. But this game really reinvigorated my, like, I'm excited to jump into Beyond Two Souls. I'm excited to see if maybe I was wrong on that and maybe pushing myself a little bit more to complete this game and finish Beyond Two Souls, if that would... if maybe I was wrong. Like, I got very excited about continuing this, whereas coming off of Indigo Prophecy, I was like, uh-oh, if this starts to go real south, I don't know if I'm even going to complete this. Like, I'm going to be stuck in this position where I'm like, I said I was going to do it, and now I've got to do it. Crap. Off to a good start. But Heavy Rain's great. I really like it. It probably would rank in one of my favorite games of the last generation. I really enjoyed my replay of it. And I kind of have been thinking about going back and getting that platinum trophy. It's just really good. I really enjoyed my time with Heavy Rain. Damn, it's good. Finally, on this week's show, we'll take a look at the week's new releases. Nothing on Blu-ray, no surprise. Nothing in theaters, no surprise. I also didn't see anything that was really notable on demand. But there are 3 games of note that are coming out this week. The first and biggest and most anticipated of the 3 games I'm going to highlight this week is The Last of Us Part 2, out exclusively on PlayStation 4 on Friday. Session, a new skateboarding game, is hitting Xbox One game preview on, I believe it's on Wednesday, and I believe it's going to run about $20. Been sitting around on Steam for a while. People seem to really like it. We've gone through a big lull where we don't have any skateboarding games, and then we're getting Session, Skater XL next month, and then in September, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1+2. So all of a sudden we have a barrage of skateboarding games, and I'm excited to try every single one of those, the first of which being Session this week. And that is on Xbox Game Preview, so preview build. And if you're interested, you can download a free 2-hour trial to give it a whirl, and then put down the $20 if you are so inclined to do. And then third and finally is Disintegration. This is available on both PlayStation 4 and on Xbox One, as well as PC. This game is interesting to me because it is from one of the co-creators of Halo, a franchise that I really love. It is a first-person shooter / real-time strategy hybrid game that has my curiosity because I really like sci-fi, robot-y tech stuff, but I don't really like real-time strategy. So this game is like 3/4 for me, and then 3 letters that are like, ooh boy, I don't know if that's going to work. And I've kind of gone back and forth on whether or not I'm going to try it out on stream or anything. And I think I'm leaning to yes, but we'll see what happens. Last week's theme on the stream was beating games, and we did that. We completed Hunt Down, we completed Paper Mario, got all the way through Heavy Rain, just didn't get through Wallace and Gromit, but that's fine. This week's theme is catching up on MLB The Show 20. If you're not aware, I talk about it every week though. I play games in a 2020 season for the Seattle Mariners. I'm very far behind. I like to try and be caught up on Sundays so that it's like even, just because that's how my brain works. But I'm like several weeks behind, so that's going to be the theme this week. Wednesday is going to be Mariners baseball. Thursday will be Uncle Rico's Road to the Show, followed by Mariners baseball. Saturday is going to be baseball split with Beyond Two Souls. Sunday, same deal with a split. And then Monday, I'm not sure what it's going to be. I think it's going to be something weird and silly, though. I have a couple of ideas I've been kind of kicking around for a few weeks now, and I think I'll probably put that in that slot, as Paper Mario is on a break until late July. I believe it's July 21st will be the first part of Paper Mario, the Origami King, which I am very excited for. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Week in Review. If you like the content, you can scroll on down and hit that subscribe button and then ring that bell so you know when I post new videos. If you want, you can leave me a comment. You can scroll on down a little bit more and leave me a comment down there. You can tell me what you thought of Heavy Rain, whether you played it 10 years ago or you played it just recently on the PlayStation 4. You can let me know if you're going to become the ultimate gamer by trying those Mountain Dew Doritos, or Mountain Dew Ritos as I wrote in my notes. Head on over to twitch.tv/ShaunosaurusRex for streams on Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And as always, check back every week right here for more Week in Review. We'll see you next week.